Hi, friends. Welcome back. My name is Caitlin. Welcome to the Pink and Main Facebook and YouTube channels, wherever you are joining me from. I'm so excited to hang out with you tonight. This time, we are going to be playing with some dry embossing as well as something new. So for those of you who may not know, Pink and Main is doing a collab of sorts with Minc. So they just came out with, or we just came out with a whole line of heat transfer foils and foilables. And there's a Pink and Main beautiful hot pink mini Minc like laminator, but for foiling. And it's so cute. It is right now on the website for pre-order. I believe they're coming in very soon. So if you are like me and you don't have a Minc, now is the time to go ahead and reserve yours. I'm going to warn you now, I'm going to be using my slightly busted laminator that I've had for a couple of years, and it will do the job, but we'll talk about why it might not do it perfectly. We're going to take an honest look at that and why a mini Minc is a really great tool if you decide that foiling is something that you really want to do. So I thought this would be the perfect time to show you one of the foils in action and but also give you some options, right? So we're going to make two cards that are related and one with foil and one without. So it should be pretty fun. I'm really excited. I'm starting to see people jump in. Hi, welcome. I see Florida, I see Arizona. I'm jealous of both of you because I'm sure it's warmer than here in Delaware. But I think it's going to be a good time. We're going to go springy today. You know, I'm on a springy kick. It's going to be great. So let's go ahead and jump in and I'll show you where we are starting off. So this looks a little Halloween-y. But I promise I'll explain what's going on as we dive in. So I have prepped us two mini slimline cards. So I just folded my white cardstock. This is a 6 by 7 piece of cardstock scored down the middle so that my end dimensions are 6 by 3.5. And so I have them out of white. I added a panel of 6 by 3.5 pebble cardstock right to the top for both. And then this green on green is going to be our dry emboss. All right, and this is the new moss cardstock, which is a beautiful springy green. And then this guy with the stripes, this is actually one of the new foilables. So let me grab that. I cut both of these layers from the stitched mini rectangle dies set 1. So I use the same die for both panels. And for the stripes, this came from the Two Hearts foilable kit. So this is definitely more Valentine's themed. I know we just left Valentine's, but you can see the dots and the stripes are absolutely perfect for year round. These are great because they are super big panels, right? Let's see. So a 8.5 by a little over 5.5. So you're getting a ton. And obviously you can make slimline cards out of this, mini slimline, regular note cards, whatever makes you happy. So it comes like this. I trimmed mine down. It comes in these packets. And so I just put my scraps of that paper right back in the envelope as well, so that I know anytime that I'm looking for my foilable pattern, that's where it is. I'm nervous to put them with my regular scraps because I don't want to just use it thinking it's black cardstock, which you could. There's nothing wrong with that, but I want to keep my foil stuff together. So I cut that, and you can see it die cut just fine. It has the stitches in it. You can also see, I don't know if you can, but in here, there's some like dusty particles. So we're gonna want to make sure that we clean this off. And I'm literally just gonna dust it off with my sleeve. But we wanna make sure that we are not getting this super fingerprinty and we don't want any dust or debris on it because that's going to affect how it foils. So I think I'm going to jump to my dry emboss first. And for that, I grabbed the newer cobblestone embossing folder, which is beautiful. I love that it's a little bit organic, but still has a really beautiful like pattern to it. And that is what we're going to emboss our plain green panel with. So I'm just going to tuck that in there. When you're doing 2 layers of embossing on a panel, you want to make sure that you do your non 3D embossing first. So that's why I cut my panel out and did the stitching first, because if we did the cobblestone first and then ran it through again with the rectangle, it would flatten out all of our cobblestone. So sometimes I actually have messed that up before. If you've messed it up too, at least you know you're not alone. I'm going to use both plates and I'm going to unfold my 2 panels on my machine. We're going to run that through back and forth just a couple times just to make sure I'm getting a really nice impression. If you're concerned, you can always add a paper shim too, which is just like folded or plain cardstock in there to just add a little bit extra. Yeah, but that was absolutely perfect. So let's get these as I start knocking all my lights around. Okay, there we go. So you can see that fast. We have this beautiful texture, and you could absolutely use it reverse side too. I think that looks so cool. It looks almost leafy from that side. But we're going to do the cobblestone bumpy texture. And I picked that because we're going to be playing with the ribbit frog stamps today. And so I just thought it looked like little froggy reptile skin. So I'm going to go ahead and add this now to my card base to just get 1 card started. And I'd love to hear from everyone watching. Have you guys played with like the laminator style heat transfer foils versus, I know some companies have the like foil dies, but to me this style where you're putting it through the mini Minc is so much easier and like more cost effective. And honestly, I'm less scared I'm going to burn myself because those hot plate things that you have to heat the other ones up on look kind of scary. Where this is nice because it's all the heat's contained in your little machine. But I'd love to know if you guys have tried a heat transfer foil like this before. If anybody has, definitely jump in and leave me a comment. So I cut my Have a Totally Amazing Day sentiment from the Ribbit stamp set with one of the extra large sentiment strips. And I'm going to just leave it to the side now because I don't know about perfect placement yet. But we will get into that in a minute. I'm going to set all of that to the side because we're going to get into the fun stuff. So, like I said, this is the one we're going to be foiling. I'm using my laminator. I did start heating it up about 25 minutes ago because it is not meant for foil transfer. You definitely, with a Minc, they heat up, I think it's in a minute or 2. And the pressure that they give is made for this type of use, where a laminator is made obviously for giant laminating sheets. So I'm just using some parchment paper for my carrier sheet. And I'm also going to be adding in a piece of folded printer paper just underneath that. So that way it's going to just give a little bit more pressure, but the heat is still going to come from the top to get my panel, and hopefully that will be great. I have been playing around with some of my other things, and it's hard to see. This is also one of the foilables, but sometimes with using a laminator instead of the Minc, you can see like right on the T and then on a little bit of the S and the A, there's spots where the foil did not adhere to the toner. And so that's just from the pressure and the heat not being correct. So I've had better luck with these bigger sheets than the little ones using my laminator. So we're just gonna go for it. And the paper or the foil that I decided to use today is the log cabin. So they come in a big roll. You get 25 feet. It comes in this really cute packaging. Michelle was kind enough to send the design team samples of a bunch of different ones, but just so you know, if you fall in love with one of the foils, when you get it, you get a ton. So this is what we're going to be using. I thought it fit the froggy theme so well. And I'm just going to cut it so that it's just a tiny bit bigger than my panel because I want to tape my card to the foil from behind. Again, just because I'm worried about it shifting on me because I'm not technically using the right stuff. Yeah, I definitely think I agree with you, snail mail for Zoe, that the whole process is pretty easy. It's much less intimidating than I thought it was going to be. And even the ones that I've been doing that haven't come out absolutely perfect, I still really like them and I've still been using them. So I think that's nice to know that like, even if it's not exact, you're good. So the other reason that I want to tape this is to make sure that my foil is completely flat. I have had issues with some of it like bubbling if I don't make sure that it's super smooth. So you know what, I'm gonna add a little bit to either side too, just to help make sure. Oh, from cold Pennsylvania. Yeah, that's a lot closer to me, Deborah. I feel your pain. We were like in the 60s almost like a week ago, and now it's back to cold, and I'm not about it. All right, so I'm gonna put that in my carrier sheet. I'm adding in my shim, and we are going to just pass this through. And the only tricky thing about this is once you pass it through once, you're done. The toner gets activated with the heat, and that's it. So you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. Or you try again with another piece of foilable. If I'm honest, that's probably what I would do. But tonight we're going to make it work because we're live and that's what we do. So the other thing is you want to make sure that you let your foiled panel cool completely before you peel it off because that toner has been activated by the heat. And so I'm just going to tell you, for this one, I use the same green moss or the same moss cardstock. I stamped out a Hoppy Birthday, and I just trimmed it down with a regular paper trimmer, super thin. And then for this one, I left it bigger and added the larger ribbit. And with this one, we're going to be laying our image onto the sentiment strip and kind of having two. So I think that will be a little fun. So our panel feels completely cool. You can see when you look at it, see if I can get, there you go. You can see where the stripes are. And I think it looks pretty smooth. When you have bubbles, when I've had bubbles, you can really see the bubbles. So I'm gonna peel the tape off first. And you're gonna see that the foil will also stick to your tape, which is something else that's really cool about these foils. You can use any of the double-sided tapes that Pink and Main sells, as well as the glossy gel once it's dry, to foil as well. So if you wanted to make your own striped pattern, you could just add your double-sided tape to your cardstock and then run it through, and that foil would adhere to the sticky parts of your tape. Let's see if we can flip this over and do a grand reveal. You ready? Oh my gosh. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh, I love it so much. On camera, to me, it's not looking as, there you go. It's like this beautiful, bronzy, almost like soft brown, and it's so pretty. And then the other cool thing is that Pink and Main has, of course, I don't have one over here. It has a toner sheet that's fully toner, as well as colored toner, full sheets. So I'm going to save this because you can even see where like the little stitches are left. I can take this onto a black or colored toner panel, run it through again, and all of the foil that's left will transfer onto that panel, and I'll basically get a positive and a negative of the same image, but that way I'm getting two pieces out of one foil. So definitely don't throw away your scraps of foil if you don't want to, because you can make even more stuff out of them. So you can see, not having the Minc meant that I had to take a couple extra steps to make this work, but it is doable if you need it to be. But that being said, I'm pretty excited to get my beautiful Pink and Main pink Minc in the mail. So let's go ahead and add this panel onto our pebble cardstock card front. Go ahead and turn my laminator. So yeah, I know I mentioned really briefly about the glossy gel, but if you think about that for a second, think about any stencil that you own that you could run the glossy gel, which comes in this tub like this. You could run a thin layer over any stencil and then let it dry, and then run that through with any foil, and you instantly have that foil pattern. That's so cool. I can't wait. I haven't played with that yet, but I'm very excited to play with that. So this, I'm thinking, is going to be kind of like that. This guy is going to be, I think I had it down here kind of like that. And then for our main characters, so if you haven't seen it before, this is the Ribbit stamp set. This came out last spring, but it is one of my all-time favorite stamp sets. They are so cute, and there's something about the little speckles and dots that are in these illustrations. It's just so cute. I just love this style, so I had to break it out. As soon as I saw the cobblestone, I knew, and then the log cabin foil, I was done. So I have them pre-stamped out. I stamped them with the Asphalt Premium Die ink. And then I use the coordinating dies, which I just store right in the same packaging. I just cut the top. Actually, if you really want to, maybe this will help somebody. I cut you can see this is the side that has the ribbing, the sealed. So I cut the hanging part of the packaging off, and I take them out and I flip everything upside down. I cut the part that normally folds over and has the sticky tape to seal, and I just put my dies and my stamps back to back, and that's how I store all my stamps. So I cut them all out with my coordinating dies. I have them just taped from the back into my cardstock, and we are going to jump into our coloring. And I pre-planned my colors a little better this time, so hopefully this goes smoothly for us today. Put down my Copic coaster. See if we can get in a little closer for you. Here we go. Oh, so cute. See if I can turn a little so I'm not always turning my images to the side. Let's go with the log and the all of that first. So I grabbed, we're going to start E59. I usually start with my darkest shades first. If you are newer to Copic, or any alcohol markers for that matter, you can definitely start with your lightest shade and go in and mark out your shadows first so that you have a better game plan in mind if you're not feeling super confident. And then go back in with your deeper shades to commit. But at this point, I feel like I have a good idea of what to expect from my colors and my markers and my images for that matter. So I'm just reinforcing my artist drawn lines on that wood grain texture with the darkest shade. And then I'm going to go in with my medium. And I want to focus most of that at this bottom half. And then for everything else, I'm just thickening the darker shades that I started with. You just want to kind of like gently connect, but I'm making sure to still leave some white space for our highlight shade. And that's going to be my E23. Just filling that in. That's definitely a leaf. I think this is wood grain. Let's go in and add a little bit of medium to that side. I went straight to dark. That's okay. There we go. And we'll just make that work with the greens, I think. So that is our little log done. And I'm going to use my darkest and my lightest shades for these little cattails. Thank you so much, Lorraine. Okay, and then I'm going to let those brown colors dry again, and we're going to come back with just the darkest shade in a little bit to add some of that dot texture that's drawn on back into our coloring. But if we do it now, it's going to bleed into the lighter shades because the ink is still wet and everything's going to smush together. So I'm going to just let it dry. We're going to skip over to our leaves for a second, and then we'll come back. So for those, I grabbed my G99 and 94. I'm just adding my shading to the left. And then while we're here, because those are so small and I don't really need them super blended, we're going to go ahead and shade in our lily pad too, because I'm going to use the same colors. Let me just go ahead and knock that out. So I'm shading all around the outside, and then I'm going to go in and add some shadows right under my frog. I think it's their expressions that I love the most. They just look so happy. They're so full of joy. I don't even like, I liked frogs a lot growing up. I had a lot of frog like stuffed animal frogs and little figurines. In real life, I don't love frogs now, These guys are so cute. You know what? My mom, if she's watching, is going to be upset because I even had a frog, then I forgot about him until I just said that. I had one of those little swimming frogs. His name was Bob Barracuda. He was pretty cool. All right. Got those guys out of the way. Let's do our water. For this, I'm just doing 2 colors. I went with a B12 and then a B00. I just want this to be really soft. Taking it over the white space left by the die edge just on the bottom. I want the white outline around the top, but on the bottom, I want the water to go right to the edge. I just feel like that creates a little more of the idea that it keeps going. Okay. Let's get our dragonflies done too. For them, I grabbed the BV01. You could do these in whatever shades you like. I just love that kind of like iridescent look that the BVs, the blue violet markers, give. So let's see our update so far. Here we go. And then before I jump to the frogs, I'm going to go ahead in and add those dots. So you can see for the log, right, I have some of those artist drawn dots here, and then we're going to add a couple on the other side just to balance them out. We're going to add some on the little cattails where they're drawn, and then we're going to go in with the green and add them to the lily pad too. So this is just going to really play up that like fun and kind of whimsical. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just a really fun little detail. And playing it up and adding it in is super easy. It just gives that extra little texture. And we're going to go in with a white gel pen and add in some highlight dots too. And that's what's really going to bring it all together. So you can see those little dots and the look that it gives them. Oh, I love it. Let's do the water too while we're at it. Why not? So we're going to jump to our frogs. For them, I'm going with YGs. We're going to start with a YG67. And I did want them to stand out and be a little different than the other greens. So that's why I went with a true green G markers for my lily pad and the leaves versus my frogs are all YG markers so that they stand out from each other. And I'm just starting by outlining my image. And I want to go right over his little mouth. Well, I should say giant mouth. It's not really little, is it? I'm going to go in with my medium, which is a YG17. And even though these are both ending in 7, the lower the first number on Copics, the less gray is in the marker. So this is going to read as not lighter, but brighter. Oh, my puppy is sleeping behind me. I think she's having a bad dream. Poor Loon. Oh, that's a dry marker. We're going to make it work because I love this color too much. I think I said that last time too, that we used it. YG03, let's blend him out with, we'll go in with YG13. That's close enough. that to the side so I remember to actually clean it. He looks a little fluorescent on camera, but in person, he's definitely a little bit of a softer green. Oh, yes, I love these. This is from, if you're jumping in now, pun intended, we are working on the Ribbit stamp set that came out last spring. And we're gonna have fun with adding these little guys to a foiled and a dry embossed background. We're making two little mini slimline cards. So let's do all of the greens first, and then we'll go back and finish them off. So same thing on this guy. He's mid jump. We're gonna make him chasing after one of those dragonflies. Same thing as before. I'm just going in and outlining my images. Oh, my contact just got a little sticky. You know, when you've had a long day, is when your contacts are starting to quit on you. So that was the 67, going in with the YG 17. Just making sure I'm leaving a little room for that highlight. Okay, and now I'm gonna go, we'll finish and then we'll go back and add our dots. So for their mouths, because there is so much space, I am gonna use two colors. I'm going in with the W9 on the outer edges. And then going in with the W7 warm gray. You could also do this in cool grays, neutrals. Honestly, you could just shade the whole thing in black. You could do a super dark green. I guess you could probably do like a red too, but I want the tongues to kind of pop. And we're going to do that in like a soft pink. For that one, I grabbed the EO2, which is like a really pale, like peachy pink. But I just love how it contrasts against. It's so funny how like neon these look on the camera from what I can see. Maybe they look a little softer to you. To me, in real life, they're definitely still on like an olivey green. They're not neon. But I'm gonna go in. I did grab the YG99 for something just a teeny bit darker to add my spots to my frogs. We'll give them some nose freckles and just all of these little places where the artist has drawn their lines on their feet. It's got some up there. We'll give him some on his little tush. And then to counteract or balance that out, I'm going to go in with an 8 gel liner. And add in some white gel pen. To all of those same places. I really like doing this technique with rocks too. Anytime I'm drawing rocks, I like to add in some darker speckles and lighter speckles. I just think it's really cute, really sweet. And that is what my images look like, all colored out. Yes, definitely better late than never. I am still super happy to have you, Terry. And we are just now getting ready to assemble our cards. So you can go back and watch all of the details after. For anyone who is joining us in a replay, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. So I just pulled all my images out and let's get to assembling. So that guy's gonna go up there with that dragonfly. These ones are gonna go down here. So for this, I was thinking log on that side, sentiment there, frog hopping up into the air, and then little dragonfly flying for its life. I think that's pretty cute. So because this is so textured from the cobblestone embossing, I'm going to go in with my giant foam tape roll, and we're going to use that to adhere down our images. This is from Pink and Main. It's approximately a zillion feet of foam. Skinny piece. I saw Kendra was here too. Kendra, if you're still here, hey, thanks for coming by. It's so nice. It's nice to see new faces, but it's really nice to see familiar faces too, right? That's a huge role, isn't it? I feel like I'm never going to run out of this foam. When I do one day, I'm going to be really sad. To be honest, I feel like when I get like to here, right, like that much, I'm just going to order another one because I know I'm going to go through it. Go. And then let's add, we'll save this foam. So we're going to need that for the other one in a minute. Oh, did you see that perfect estimation? That's a pretty good one. Oh, Kendra's getting foils. I knew they were going to be fun, but they're more fun than I anticipated, honestly. So that is one card done. Have a totally amazing day. Love a good pun. So that is our texture card complete. And then for this guy, this is our foiled card for anybody who's just jumping in. You can see it has that beautiful wood grain. This is the log cabin foil. And I think I'm going to adhere this strip down flat, but then pop up the frog. And I think what I was envisioning was this a little bit more in the corner so that it balances out our sentiment up in that top corner. I think that would be cute. So let's go ahead and glue that down. With our easy squeeze. I want to line it up with that edge of that stripe. Do the same thing with this guy. Oh, it's probably because I can see the chat from Facebook and YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, you can only see YouTube, and if you're on Facebook, you can only see Facebook. But I can see you all, which is great. Because can you imagine if I could only see one or the other? I had to try to go back and forth. No, thank you. Adding a little bit of foam to my frog. And I want him to cover the top edge of my cardstock. I don't want you to be able to see that corner. So he gets popped there. And then that little skinny piece I saved, I'm going to cut in half, maybe even smaller. I'm going to add one to the dragonfly and one side to his little loop. So teeny. It's good enough for today. And we're going to give him his little dragonfly right there. Okay, and then the last step is my normal go-to. I grabbed some enamel glitter dots. I grabbed this one because it has this really cool like tan taupe color, but it has a green glitter. And then I thought this green one would go really well. So let's add some brown to the green background and we'll add some green to the brown background. How about that? I think we're just going to go for 3 this time. And I love using foam because it means I can tuck some of my embellishments underneath the images. All right, we'll put that one right there. I'm going in with a little craft pick. I just get mine from the dollar store. You can use whatever works for you. Just with my nails, I don't have the patience to not use it. I think, yeah, I think we'll just kind of cut the difference with that one at the top. So just a little something to bring a little more color, give it a little bit of pop. I just really like that little peak of glitter. And then for this guy, we'll go green. So maybe we'll hide that corner too. We'll go big guy, and then we'll do medium. And we'll add a little guy over here. Just like that. So there's our beautiful wood grain foil. Happy birthday with our little ribbiting frog. And then this one is a punch of green with that cobblestone textured background. Have a totally amazing day. And there you go. 2 cards, 45 minutes. Yes, I might have done a little prep work, but even so, I could probably get both of these done within an hour, especially if I wasn't trying to talk and explain. So very perfect for you if you need a couple quick cards for your stash, a good anytime card, a good birthday card, that way. So there we go. So I hope that you had fun. I hope that you learned some stuff about the foils. I hope I got to cover some of the basics. Definitely leave any of your questions that you still have on the foils or the Minc or the foilables or any of the other designs, or if you have any requests and you'd like to see any of the foils or foilables used in upcoming projects, leave me a comment wherever, whatever platform you're on. I've been going back to check, and I would love to use them and show you what they look like so that you feel the most confident possible if you decide to get any of those for your stash. Yeah, I hope that you had fun. I hope these were a fun little change. All this green definitely feels appropriate for it being almost St. Patrick's Day. I don't really plan on doing a St. Patrick's Day card, so we can count this amount of green as my yearly requirement for St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, I hope that you have an amazing weekend. I will be back here on Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We have a time change, but I'll still be here at the same time, 8:30 sharp, for some fun next week. And it'll be, I believe, sneak peek week. Sneak peeks for the new release. So get excited about that because it's going to be so fun. Every month, Pink and Mean comes out with a new release on the third Friday of the month. And so even though we just came out with foils and a Mink, we still have a full stamp and stencil and die release coming to you. And we're going to explore some of that next week. So I will see you back here next Tuesday at 8:30. Definitely leave me any questions in the comments. Like we said, I appreciate you for being here more than you will ever know. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next time. Happy crafting.